This is the tiniest camera I've ever owned, and it gets even tinier when you take it out of its pod, which is why it's incredibly loved by and heavily marketed towards shy creators. Oh, and it's magnetic. But this little guy is capable of so much more than just being super discreet. It shoots in 4K, it has pretty solid in-camera audio, you tell me if that's true, and incredible stabilization, which makes it start to look like a must-have camera for all creators. And yet we know that no piece of gear is truly one size fits all. So after keeping this thing on me for nearly 7 months straight, I can confidently say that it's not actually for everyone. But it did take me by surprise because I originally thought that it was definitely 100% not for me, and turns out I was wrong. So I want to walk you through who I think this is best for and who I think it isn't. Now, first off, this is not sponsored. However, I did get this camera as part of a sponsored post. That being said, I am well known for sabotaging a good thing. When I first started seeing the Insta360 Go Ultra content swirling around the tech and creator side of YouTube, I will be honest, I was not really interested. And if I'm being completely honest, I think it's because of the elephant in the room that a lot of sponsored content tends to gloss over. It's that this is content filmed on my camera, this is content filmed on my phone, and this is content filmed on the Insta360 Go Ultra. All 4K footage, but all built different due to sensor size, bit color, bit depth, and other techie things that I know nothing about. And as someone who loves shooting with their camera and like the quality that comes with it, I really dismissed, bus just went by. I really dismissed these types of like POV cameras as being for only two types of creators. The super sporty ones, and those who were just so nervous about filming in public that they were willing to take a quality hit to get the shot. And since I can basically count on one hand how many times I've so much as gone for a run in the past year, and because I have really come to embrace the cringiness that is filming in public, I really just didn't see a use case for this type of camera. That is until Insta360 reached out. I spent a day with this camera, and now suddenly I have a lot more use cases for this thing than I thought. Here's what I realized. I've never actually used this thing, but there's a lot of cicadas or like bugs around, so let's see. This is perfect for you if you are a shy vlogger. I think it's one of the most discreet cameras you can get that will still give you acceptable YouTube level quality. And something that sets it apart from traditional action cams is the ability to change the field of view to make it more ideal for vlogging. So right now we have it set up in linear, where you're not getting a lot of distortion. And if you still want to show off some more of that view, but keep things looking a little bit still realistic, this is D-Warp. Whereas this is action, giving you much more of that like extreme sport fisheye view. This is Mega, and this is Ultra. And I actually think that this camera is especially strong if it is the only one that you are using in your video. I've watched a lot of vlogs shot on this thing, and I don't think I've ever once thought, ooh, that is like some really subpar quality. Ooh. I think it's only really noticeable when the Go Ultra footage is mixed in with content shot on a mirrorless camera, especially one shooting on a lens with a really low aperture. But even then I am learning that there's a way to make it work, which we'll touch on later. And interestingly, even though I don't normally consider myself a shy vlogger, I have definitely reaped the benefits of how discreet this thing is. Because this, and even this, is 1000% more discreet than this. And therefore, I'm always going to be more likely to pull this out in public for quick shots. And it's fantastic for capturing B-roll without passerbys knowing that I'm shooting something. I can magnetize it to something and check that I'm in frame with the pod, or I can prop it up inconspicuously on a table. But this may just be me, but I kind of find the process of sticking it to something or setting it up weirdly awkward. Like someone might look at me and be like, what is she doing? But once it's set up and it's rolling for a bit, I'm okay. No one notices. But sometimes I almost feel like fully committing to setting up a camera and owning that is less strange
because people know what a camera is and they don't know what this little device is, but that could just be me. Oh, and one gripe that is not really the fault of Insta360, I feel like a lot of the ads gave me this false sense of there being a lot more metal around me than there actually is. Or at least like magnetic metal. I cannot count the amount of times I've gone up to stick it on something and it didn't stick, and me then walking away awkwardly. It's actually why I ended up buying this pivot stand to help make this camera more versatile.
Now I actually want to take this shy vlogger use case a step further, because I think this camera is even more ideal for people who don't want to be on camera in general. I'm talking like faceless or POV type content. In fact, I think there's a reason why people are starting to call these cameras POV cameras over action cameras. And the versatility of mounting options available to you with this really lends itself to that use case. And in fact, I found that when I'm using this camera, I'm usually getting more footage of what I'm seeing and the people I'm out with than I do footage with me actually in it. I think this is usually what people will have strapped onto them if they're filming any type of spontaneous in-person content, whether they're going up to somebody and saying, hey, do you mind if I take a photo of you? Or trying to get some sort of like reactionary content. I do have a lot of feelings though about farming people for content without their permission, but that's another conversation for another day. And it's also really great for any content where you really want to showcase what you're doing, whether that is photography or cooking or something going on with your hands. Another feature that I think is really ideal for like the more spontaneous POV type content is the Insta360 Go Ultra's quick capture feature. My phone is not usually in my hands at all time, and even when I take my camera out, it's usually in my bag unless I'm trying to capture something super specific. So I'm naturally missing out on capturing a lot of really spontaneous moments. But with quick capture, the Go Ultra can go from an off state to on within seconds. Next up, the active, messy, clumsy creator. There's construction going on over there. Now, of course, we know this camera is absolutely perfect for super active creators like the mountain bikers, the skydivers, the snowboarders. And that's primarily because A, it's so compact, and B, it has absolutely incredible in-camera stabilization. At the start of this video, I only had, I think, standard stabilization on, and I didn't have tilt shift on, which kind of helps the camera stay a little bit steady when you go kind of this way and that. But we could take the stabilization even further if we wanted to. Like right now, this is stabilization on high. I'll try like awkwardly run a little bit. Oh, that was a little bit embarrassing. And we can even take it a step further where instead of having it on linear view like this, we can actually have the settings on 45-degree tilt lock, which will really allow us to kind of go like this back and forth one sec. I'm turning my camera actually on its side. Oh, see? So if you go over 45, then it'll change the angle, but I'm tilting, and it's still keeping me level. Okay, we're back to standard because I'm not that bothered by a little shake. Oh. Now, I always thought that level of stabilization was really overkill for the type of content that I do. But after having this for a while, I realized it's not just for the extremely athletic folks. Let's put on this little wind muff actually. Let's test noise reduction on this thing. Anyways. It's just really nice to be able to point this camera in the direction of what I'm hoping to capture without trying to overthink how steady I am holding it. And as I am beginning to get a little bit more active and have started to go hiking, which past Kea would think is absolutely insane. I grew up in Vancouver and literally would hike maybe once a year when a friend dragged me out. But now that we live in Hong Kong, hiking is like a favorite pastime. And I'm really enjoying the footage that I'm getting with it in POV mode or just like holding it out. And my arm isn't breaking from how heavy it is. And the shots are stable. But in addition to that, I'm realizing that a lot of the features that make an action cam also make a camera just really beneficial for like the messier or clumsier creators like me. First of all, how drop proof this is. I literally dropped this like 30 minutes ago on the cement. It is definitely bruised, but it's fine. And if I did accidentally smash the lens, replacing that is a lot cheaper than replacing the lens of my camera. And I actually have dropped a camera lens before and broken it. And then I got the new one and then I dropped that one too. So maybe I should only be shooting on action cams. But as another example, the other day my husband and I completely stumbled across a pottery class in Shenzhen, and I happened to have this camera on me. I also had my main camera, but it was so messy that there was no way I was going to risk setting up my expensive camera to document the process and not have to worry about clay splashing on it as the clay inevitably went flying. And then when I got home, because the little camera itself is waterproof, I was able to rinse that off in the sink. And then I just wiped the pod down with a wet cloth and it's mostly as good as new. Bonus, I also think that this camera is really great for vertical only creators. I feel like the quality gap is a lot less noticeable on mobile. And the bonus when you are in vertical is that you can capture all of yourself, as well as have a lot of headroom or room on the bottom to be able to add captions or like titles and stuff like that. So it's another great use case. So who is this camera absolutely not for? Bear with me to the end on this though, because this is where I had to kind of look myself in the mirror and ask myself what type of creator I really was. First, it's the people who want quality over everything. And let's be honest here, because quality is a bit of a buzzword and it can come in a lot of different shapes and forms. I've seen a lot of vlogs filmed on the Go Ultra. I've seen a lot of vlogs filmed on cell phones that I would say were very high quality. And it wasn't because of the footage resolution. It was because of the framing, the creator's eye, their storytelling, their pacing. But separate from that, if you are somebody that really values like a crisp, high resolution, HQ looking video, and that is like the standard that you will not accept anything less than, then this camera's not for you. And I think we can even take that into like a subcategory of control freak. I will give it to the Go Ultra. They have iLog. If you're not familiar with that, it's kind of like a very washed out shot, which allows you to really push like the color grading in the editing process. I'm bitten. And they do allow you to shoot manually in the sense that you can control your ISO as well as your shutter speed. But none of that is going to compare to the level of control that shooting on a mirrorless camera is going to be able to give you, with the ability to interchange different lenses with different apertures to be able to achieve the look that you want. With the Go Ultra, you have one fixed lens and pretty much everything from a certain distance onwards is going to be in focus. You're not going to be able to get that cinematic look where you're focusing on something and the background is all blurry. If that's going to bother you and make you feel like you're not achieving your vision, it's not for you. Sorry. This camera is also not for you if you are an extreme storyboarder planner creator. And as like a subcategory of that, you are not afraid to like take up space in order to make that storyboard vision happen. I think about Life with Riza's content, where she is technically making vlogs, but she is planning everything before she shoots. She is storyboarding it, and she has like an entire team with her filming. I think like the size of her team is varied depending on her project, but her YouTube videos are basically the equivalent of a movie. And I really admire that because I feel like in a way it's the opposite of the shy vlogger, in that you are owning that you are making something and you're kind of unashamed about pulling out your camera or like having somebody with a camera and a light or like a bounce around you to get the look that you want. I had to get out of there. I was getting absolutely eaten alive. See if we can also escape that noise. But basically, if that's you, you have no reason to get a small, inconspicuous camera. Even if you're somebody who wants to get like some of the more creative shots that you can achieve with the Go Ultra, you are more likely to just go all out and commit and buy the equipment, the rigging you need to be able to get that shot, like a clamp to the ceiling or something like that. And my problem is that before I got this camera, I really thought that I was the type of creator that I just mentioned. I had to look at myself and my content a little bit more critically, because yes, I do want my stuff to look like a movie. I'm incredibly inspired by that type of content, but as my vlog channel has started to gain momentum, I am realizing that my style leans a lot more documentary than it does cinematic storytelling. When I put together a vlog video, I am not coming up with the concept in advance, planning it out, scripting it, storyboarding it, and then going to shoot. Instead, I am shooting my life as I live it, looking at all of the footage after the fact, and seeing how I can pull out a decent, cohesive story out of it. And that means the best footage I have is the footage that I have available to me to tell said story. I would get so annoyed when I would lay out all of my footage on my timeline and realize that I would have to mix my phone footage in with my camera footage to be able to piece something together. But now I'm even more annoyed when I go to edit and realize that a moment that would just be so perfect to complete this story was not captured at all. And this makes me think about what I said towards the beginning of this video, that the Insta360 works best when it is the only camera that you're vlogging on, because otherwise it really stands out against the camera footage. But I'm starting to realize that as you vlog, you can use your different footage types as a storytelling tool. I think of how when I only captured a moment in vertical and I'm not really able to crop it in, I played around with this sort of like cell phone view and have kind of even entertained calling it the Darren cam, because it's usually my husband who filmed it. Or I've seen other creators really lean into using their phone footage as this sort of like lo-fi cam, sometimes going out of their way to even like lower the quality and make it look grainier, drawing attention to the fact that this is shot on a different camera, it's separate footage, and making it kind of feel like the behind the scenes camera. I hadn't quite figured out how I would want to lean into that with like the Go Ultra footage and my own content, but I think it's kind of a fun challenge to see how I could maybe create like my own visual language in my content. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I think it'll be fun to experiment. I've also had to come to terms that for my style of vlogs, my camera has been a barrier to being able to get the shot in certain environments. I have been told to put it away at sporting events. I've been told to put it away at concerts. And there have definitely been a lot of other scenarios that I've gone somewhere that is especially sensitive to like professional looking gear, which again just means that I am able to get the shot rather than leave with nothing. And so the fact that I can get this thing covered in clay without worrying about it, the fact that I don't have to break my arm carrying my camera when I go hiking, and that this can go from like an off state to filming in a matter of seconds, it has definitely earned itself a place in my camera bag and in my content workflow. Now, I don't think the Go Ultra will ever be the only camera I use to tell my stories, but I do plan to continue carrying it everywhere with me to be able to tell fuller ones. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in the Go Ultra, I will drop my affiliate link below. And if you're not, I'd love to hear why, what type of creator you are, and what you're shooting on. Thanks for watching, and until next time.